Hi, I'm Debbie and this is Book and BuJo, where I talk about all things books, bullet journals, and stationery. And today is my February TBRopoly. It's almost February, which means it's time for my TBRopoly. To start with, let's find out how I did in January. Did I finish my TBR or did I not? My first role was a booktuber rec, and for that I read Sharp Ends by Joe Abercrombie, which is an anthology in between the standalones and the next trilogy in the First Law world. And I did read that. Role number 2 was an even, and that was a book club book, and I read Ink, Blood, a Sister Scribe by Emma Tourge, and that was with the BuJo Buddies book club with Jashi Curran. And I did read that. Role number 3 was a TBR jar pick, and that was to read Love, Lies, and Hocus Pocus, which is the first book in the Lily Singer Adventures, and that one is Beginnings, and I did read that. Role number 4 was an Amazon borrow, one of my prime reading books, and I rolled a 5, and that was to read The Written, which is the first book in the Emaneska series by Ben Galley, and I am still currently reading that one. I'm about 40% of the way through, and I will definitely have that done by the end of the month because we still have a week left. And then my 5th and final role was to read a series by Rick Riordan, and I am up to The Dark Prophecy, which is the second book in the Trials of Apollo series, and I did read that. So at least by the end of January, I will have completed my TBR. So that means I get a reward. Now for Readathons, you'll have to check back to my wrap up for January to see how I did on that. So I did complete my TBR, so I get a reward. So let's see what we got. Remove 1 spin. So I did get a reward, and that was to remove 1 spin. Let's see if I use it or not. With having the last couple of rounds being 4 rolls, I probably won't use it, but it depends on how many rolls I get. All right, next up, let's see how many books I will be reading. I got my 8-sided die or 10-sided die. 8. Well, maybe I will use that one after all. We'll see. I got 8 rolls, which means 8 books. I'm not mad about that though. I know February is a shorter month, but we do have an extra day because it is leap year this year, which also means has nothing to do with books, but Adagio Teas has a tea called Brigadoon, and it only is available every leap year. And I got it last leap year, and I stretched it out and made it all the way through like the middle of January before I finally finished it. So I will definitely be getting 2 bags this year. But today I am drinking a matcha latte, which is delicious. Back to the books. Okay, so 8 rolls. We'll see if I use my reward or not. Probably not. I may hold on to it just in case I get more like 10 rolls plus some doubles. We'll see. We'll see what I do. There are quite a few book club books I would like to get on this TBR, as well as some readathon books and just some books I would like to read in general. With 8 books, I may be able to get most of them on there. Let's hope. We'll see how it goes. Let's go right on into roll number 1. Right now for my 6-sided die, and let's go ahead and do our first roll. So roll number 1. 9. Oh, and we ended on series in January, so that's where we're starting. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, and that's an odd card. And that is to read a classic. All right, roll number 1 was an odd card, and that was to read a classic, which is good because I do want to read a classic book every month. I decided for my classic to pick The Aeneid by Virgil. So might as well continue with the whole Roman mythology and Troy and all of that and just move right in from the Iliad that I read in January to the Aeneid, which I will read in February for my classic. Roll number 2. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is another odd card. Read a book you keep putting off. Roll number 2 was an odd card, and that is to read a book you keep putting off. And for this one, I'm going to choose one of the books in the Mistborn Era 2 series by Brandon Sanderson. It depends on how close I am to finishing some of my other books in January. If I finish a couple of the audiobooks that I have still for January for my readathons, then it may change what I read for this prompt. Currently, I have Shadows of Self, which is the second book in the Mistborn Era 2 series. But if I am able to get to this one still in January, then I would do The Bands of Mourning, which is the third book in the Mistborn Era 2 series with Wax and Wayne. So it'll be one of these two books that I choose. Roll number 3. 7. Lots of odds this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. TBR jar. Pretty full, so I don't think shaking it like this really helps a whole lot, but alright, let's see. Oh, I dropped the one I originally had, but that's alright. The Book of Dragons. Ooh, that could be fun. Roll number 3 was a TBR jar pick again. Kind of nice to have that 2 months in a row. And for this one, it was The Book of Dragons, and that is by Edith Nesbit. Don't really know a whole lot about this one. I do have it on my Kindle though. So The Book of Dragons by Edith Nesbit is actually a much older book than I thought. Edith was alive from 1858 to 1924, so that's kind of interesting. But it's kind of a anthology short story collection of sorts, all about different stories about dragons, so it should be pretty interesting. Roll number 4. Oh, that was a 4. Doubles. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I probably could have cheated on that one, but it was a 4 to begin with, so definitely doubles. So 8, that is an even card, and that is a dystopian. Roll number 4. Doubles. Of course. TBRopoly has to show me the love for Valentine's Day and give me doubles. So now we have 9 total books. So that was roll of 4 of 9 now. And it was an even card. And I got a dystopian. And that actually works pretty well for me because the book club pick for the Backlist book club with Covers with Cassidy is continuing with the Book of the Ice series by Mark Lawrence, and that is The Girl and the Mountain. This is definitely a dystopian. I really enjoyed the first book, The Girl and the Stars. I highly recommend it. Actually enjoyed it more than I did the Book of the Ancestors so far, so we'll see how the continuation of the series goes. All right, so now we have 9 rolls. So roll 5 of 9. They're hopping everywhere. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another even card. Next in a series. That should be easy. To roll number 5 of 9. This was another even card, and that is to read the next book in a series. And that works great because then I can get my Around the Disc in 800 read-along book with literary diversions into my TBR. So we have 2 books this month, and the first one is Amazing Maurice and His Educated Rodents by Terry Pratchett, and this one is the 28th book in the Discworld series. So we're halfway through. There's, I believe, 41 books, not counting the little short stories and essays and little novellas in there. So 41 books, and we are at 28. Roll number 6 of 9. 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Non-reading prompt. Take a class. Roll number 6. We got a non-reading prompt. So TBRopoly is showing me the love, trying to take away the effects of that double. And that is to take a class. And there's actually 2 classes I'm kind of looking into. One of them is creating your own fantasy maps, so how to draw your own fantasy maps, which I think is super interesting. And the other thing I'm looking into is taking a black letter calligraphy class. Gonna do one of those 2. Roll 7 of 9. More doubles. I may be using that reward after all. We'll see. So 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A to Z challenge. Roll number 7. Well, doubles again. Thank you, TBRopoly. Took one away and gave one back. It's fine. It's fine. So 10 rolls, 9 books. This one I landed on the A to Z challenge, and I decided to squeeze another book club book into here, and that is the BuJo Buddies book club with Jashi Curran, and the book for February is Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver, and that is the first book in the Ruinous Love series. Roll 8 of now 10. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Even card. Trials of Apollo. All right, roll number 8 of 10. Another even card. So we started out the first half of the game, it was all odds. Now we're doing all evens. Even card, and that is the Trials of Apollo. And like I mentioned last time, or I guess 2 times ago, I think I've gotten something around this prompt 3 times now. So it's either read a Rick Riordan book or the Trials of Apollo series or something in there. I think I had this one in December, and so I shuffled, and so it kind of got back into the mix there. But for the Trials of Apollo and Magnus Chase series, they recommend doing the first book in Magnus Chase and then the first book of Trials of Apollo, then go back to Magnus Chase, Trials of Apollo, Magnus Chase, Apollo, back and forth that way. Since I just read the Trials of Apollo in January, then I'm on to the 3rd book in the Magnus Chase series, which is The Ship of the Dead by Rick Riordan. Editing Debbie here to say I looked at my sheet for the Percy Jackson reading order that is put together by Rick Riordan's nephew, and I was wrong. So the next book that I'm supposed to be reading is actually The Burning Maze, which is the 3rd book in the Trials of Apollo series. So I will be continuing with the actual Trials of Apollo series, and then the next book up would be the 3rd book in the Magnus Chase series, which is The Ship of the Dead. So all right, roll a 9 of 10. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Book club book. Oh, that's a good one. Roll number 9 of 10 was a book club book, which is great because I am starting a new book club for 2024, and we will be reading the Kingfall Histories by David Estes, and we will start with Kingfall, which is the first book in the 5-book series, and I will tell you a little bit more about it when we get to the book club section. So I do chapter all my videos, so if you want to just skip straight ahead to that, you can do that. If not, let's go on to the next roll. All right, and our final 10th roll, 10 out of 10. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another odd card. That is a random color generator. Roll number 10, and the last and final roll for February's TBRopoly was another odd card, and this one was to do a random color generator. Okay, let's pick my random color. Red. And I got red. And for that, I will be reading The Last Hero, which is book number 27 in the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett. And that is the last of my TBRopoly rolls, but I still have more that I need to read. I was able to get a couple of my books onto my TBR, but these are the ones I wasn't able to get onto. So we'll start with book clubs. There's actually... There's a new book club that I am participating in, and it's called the Big Book Club. So tomes over 500 pages, and that is with Carolyn Marie Reads. For January and February, there's only 6 books because they are big ones, so it's just one every 2 months. The first book for January and February is actually The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas, and I actually read that last year. So I will pick up with the March book, which is going to be Middlemarch by George Eliot. So that will be March and April's choice. For February, I get a pass because I already read the book. The next one is the BuJo Buddies Book Club with Jashi Curran, and I already got this one on my TBR, and that is Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. For my Backlist book club with Covers with Cassidy, the book is for January and February, and that is The Girl in the Mountain by Mark Lawrence, the second book in the Book of the Ice series, and I got this one on my TBR as well. That's great. If I have time, because this is the book for February and March, so this will be a low priority read, but if I have time, I will get to the Ketchup Book Club book pick with Becca and the Books, and that is A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie, and this is the 8th book in the First Law world and the first book in the Age of Madness trilogy. And then lastly, I am starting my own little book club over on Fable. The link will be down in the description box below if you would like to join in, and this will be for February and March, and we will be reading the Kingfall Histories series by David Estes. Be bright, but do not burn. Embrace the darkness, but do not live in the shadows. The powerful god blades were believed to be lost nearly half a millennium ago when the Gods' War ended. Now, however, one has been found by the unlikeliest of Samson Guard, a sheltered prince who's been told he'll never rule Teravainen. As his power grows, the only question is whether he controls the blade or the blade him. With an insidious evil lurking in the shadows, the answer may very well determine the fate of all Kingfall. Fans of A Game of Thrones, the Stormlight Archives, Legends of the First Empire, and the fate-marked epic will enjoy the Kingfall Histories. And it is set in the same world as the Fate-marked series, which is by David Estes. This is also a 5-book series, and it is amazing. It is so good. It is an epic, high epic fantasy with dragons and other creatures, and you have the tattooed, which means they have special gifts if they are born with a specific tattoo, and most of the tattoos are fairly unique to that person. If you like the Fate Mark series, then you would love Kingfall Histories, and I can't wait to get into it. You do not need to read the Fate Mark series to read the Kingfall series. They are set in the same world, but you'll have different characters. But if you'd like to join in, the book is over 800 pages, so we are doing it for February and March. But please join in on the Fable Book Club or just read the book on your own. Either way, it's going to be a great time, and I can't wait to get into it. And I just read David Estes's monthly email that comes out, and Kingfall, the first book in the series, is going to be available on Kindle for free from January 28th to February 1st. So if you would like to take part in the book club but do not have the book yet, you can snag it for free the end of the month, January 28th through February 1st. Just go over to Amazon and it'll be available on your Kindle as an ebook. So that is super exciting. And if you don't have a Kindle, that's all right. You can still read it on your phone or on your computer. You can download the free Kindle app. So I can't wait to read those. I love David Estes's Fate Mark series. It is one of my top 10 series of all times that I love, and I got my mom to read it, and she loves it as well. She loved the entire series. So can't wait to get started with Kingfall. He is also, so the whole 5-book series is complete already, and he is already starting on his 3rd 5-book series, which is also set in the same world as Fate Marked and Kingfall. So I'm looking forward to reading those when they come out. They are not available yet though. So let's just get started with Kingfall, and then we'll go from there. And I believe the first book in that series comes out maybe in September. It comes out later at the end, towards the end of 2024. Readalongs. I got some of these books on, but not all of them. The first read-along that I'm continuing with is the Wheel of Time read-along with Sandra from Got a Thing for Things, and we are up to the 8th book in the Wheel of Time series, which is The Path of Daggers by Robert Jordan. And this one again is for February and March, so another low priority read. If I don't get to it, that's fine because I can still pick it up in March if I need to, but I will try and get to it in February. Next one is the Cosmere Readalong, which I am still going through. It was supposed to end in January, but I'm not quite done with it yet. For that one, I still have the Mistborn Era 2 series that I need to read, and hopefully I can get through them before I have to return them to my library. But we have Shadows of Self, The Bands of Mourning, and The Lost Metal. And then I have the Arcanum Unbounded. I have 3 stories still in here to finish, so not too many. And I think that's it. Oh, and Mistborn Secret History. That's the other one I still need to finish. And of course, those are all by Brandon Sanderson. And then the last read along is Around the Disc in 800 with Literary Diversions. And we are up to the 27th and 28th books in the series, which is The Last Hero and The Amazing Maurice and His Educated Rodents. That one's going to be fun. I can already tell. Lastly, we have Readathons. We'll start with Adventures in Aeldia by G. at Book Roast. For Ariel, we completed the quest to rely on our own wits, and that was to listen to an audiobook, and I listened to The Dark Prophecy, which is the second book in the Trials of Apollo series by Rick Riordan. She now has 2 choices. So she can either go towards the maze or turn right, embrace the mist of solitude once more. And that's kind of the direction I wanted to go, but you have to read a book with mist in the title. And I already have a lot of books in my TBR. I didn't want to add another one just for this. So instead, we're going to go ahead and go towards the maze. And that is to read a mystery or thriller. And I'll be reading Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Reaver. So Karasu, he had to rely on his strength and read a book physically. And he read The Bone Shard War by Andrea Stewart, which is the 3rd and final book in the Drowning Empire series. Which means he then has 2 options over here. He can turn left and manipulate a boulder to crash through a wall, or he can go towards and fight an animated gargoyle. We're gonna go that route and see what happens. Kind of interesting choice. And that is to read a book with non-human characters. And I actually have a few options I can go with for that, but I think I'm going to go with The Book of Dragons by Edith Nesbit. So, I mean, we could go with Wheel of Time as well, The Path of Daggers. We could go with The Last Hero, because both of those in Discworld, we have dwarves and werewolves and other characters that are non-human. But I think I'm gonna stick with The Book of Dragons for that one. And then lastly, we have Buzzwordathon with Kayla from Books and Lala. And the February prompt is positive words. And out of all the books I already have my TBR, because again, trying not to add additional books than what I already have of books I need to read, there are 2 options. So we have Last Hero. So hero I associate with kind of a positive word, and that's the Terry Pratchett book. Or we can go with The Amazing Maurice and His Educated Rodents, because amazing is a very positive word, and that's probably the route I'm going to go with. What books are on your TBR for February? Are you mainly reading romance books? I tend to read those more during the holidays, so during like Christmas time and Thanksgiving for some reason, and I don't always associate Valentine's Day with anything other than retail. I always feel it's more of a retail holiday, unfortunately, but that's probably because I worked in retail for 20 years. But it is also a day for love, but I didn't actually choose any romances for my TBR. But that's all right. If I have time at the end, I may throw in a couple of some things there. What books are you reading for February? Did you throw in a whole bunch of romance books, or are you just reading whatever comes your way? Have you read any of the books that I have on my TBR? And if you have, I would love to hear your thoughts on them. Go ahead and leave that down in the comments below. And if you made it this far in the video, leave a heart emoji for Valentine's Day in the comments for me. And until next time, keep reading. Bye!